Okay, if you're just tuning in, this is the second part of my 2020 Columbine review thing. The other video was like 16 minutes long, etc. I kind of shot off the target a little bit and shot back on and shot back off and added some of my personal details. I left off names of my bullies, but I added some of my personal details into it. Now, from what I've seen tonight, when I wasn't dozing off because I've had a really rough day fighting a 1-year-old, no, it's not mine. Anyway, from what I've seen tonight, we all tend to look for the best in everybody, especially our own children. That is not always the case. No one wants to believe for a New York minute that their kid is anything other than a saint because we all in society try to raise our kids right. However, if your kid has a friend who has a wild hair up his ass and their parents aren't really disciplining them, what the hell do you expect to happen? They're going to mislead your child. Now, granted, all children are innocent under the eyes of God until you get 12 years old, according to the rules of penitence or whatever they call it. Somewhere along the line, these kids at all the schools that I mentioned in the last video, Columbine, Blacksburg again, the kidnapping with the Jesse Matthews thing and everything that's going on in my personal town, and everywhere else in the world where there's been some sort of major malfunction, making people do things they wouldn't normally do. Well, a lot of it, like I said, a lot of it all begins with being bullied. And until we find a way to teach people empathy and sympathy so that kids won't go to school bullying kids because they're smaller or because they come from less money or because they just are all around out poor. I'm poor, still poor to this day. My bullies, I'm sure they're probably living it up and having a good time, and God bless them. I still owe them, so as long as they don't bother me, I won't bother them. And I'm not trying to be a dick by saying that. I'm just telling the truth. I didn't try to serve my country for nothing. I tried to die for this country to save everyone. And that includes bullies. No, I'm not trying to be the guy on my chest. I don't even really like Superman. This shirt was a gift. But, it's the principle of the thing. You have to inspire children to treat other children like they would want to be treated. You can't have a crowd of kids, or like back when I was younger, they called them the in crowd. You can't have them bullying the outsiders, the misfits, the guys like me, the kung fu geeks, the karate geeks, the guys that read comic books, the guys that have big dreams and will die to achieve them, but somehow we get off track because the school bullies have run of the asylum. The teachers don't do anything because they can't whoop their ass. They got to have a legal reason to suspend them, but you can't suspend them if the teachers aren't reporting the actions in, which in my case, all through school, from grade school to high school, teachers just seemed to let me get bullied. The fact that I didn't do Columbine is a testimony to God. The fact that I didn't pull a Blacksburg and stuff like that is a testimony to the strength I had within the Lord, because God knows those guys were dead meat. And the thing is, granted, they all ran from me that day. I didn't have my Gerber, which you will see me have every now and again in a couple of videos, or my bow and arrow to go back to my roots of my Native American heritage. There's not a whole lot of things that I really could have done with that back then, other than with these things right here and the feet that are holding me up right now, which are no longer in use. I was bullied, and teachers did nothing. And I'm pretty sure that not the Blacksburg kid, but most of the kids that go around shooting up other kids is generally because someone in that room did something to him. And everyone else, I'm sorry, I don't want to put this any other way, but it's the only way I know how to talk now, and it's militarily speaking, everyone else was either going to be considered collateral damage or casualties of war. And I'm not trying to be an asshole to the families that I'm speaking of, the victims. I'm not trying to be a dick or any of that. I'm just telling you like it is. The truth is 100% painful. No matter what the situation is, the truth is 100% painful. And there's not always decent ways you can word a few things. And I really don't know how to word things really nice. And when it comes down to stuff like that, and I'm probably going to get a lot of kickback for how I'm putting this out there. I don't know how this stuff got in there, but anyway, it's not a thing that can be solved overnight. It is not a thing that kids can come home and talk to their moms. But if you have a kid and he's writing a journal, you know, if you can read it, and then confront them peacefully, you know. But don't let them know that you read the journal. Just bring up random subjects and kind of subliminally throw them in there. When I had my incident in the military, and I had to get a little bit of therapy. I mean, hey, I'm not ashamed. I'm an honest person, so I'm gonna say it like it is. I had to get some therapy because I was going to do something that probably would not have made me an honorable soldier. And as I'm dealing with people who was abusing authority there, you know, I've had some really dark thoughts go through my skull, and that wasn't cool. So I got therapy, and they ordered me to write a journal. And so in my journal, as I was writing it, while my battle buddy was eyeball fucking a captain or a drill sergeant that was female, and I had to do his push-ups because of our profiles. No, my journals never had really bad thoughts of me hurting other people, just me hurting myself. So when I had to do the punishment for the both of us, I'm like, you know what? I'm not even gonna write this in my journal at how mad I am that I have to do punishment for my battle buddy. These are things that you don't pay attention to. You don't pay attention to your kid when they're overly happy. You don't pay attention when your kid is like really selfish and then all of a sudden he starts giving away all his shit. When they start giving away all their shit, like for no apparent reason, it's not too big, it's not too small, they automatically just don't want it anymore. They take their best artwork and just start ripping it up. These are the signs of things are about to go from bad to oh fuck real quickly. You know, I never gave away any of my stuff because a lot of my stuff got me through some hard times. But I know for a fact that a lot of people that commit suicide want to give their stuff away to their closest friends and relatives, people that mean the most to them, because that way they know that their stuff will be safe and part of them, their spirits will still live on in their stuff. I'm probably not wording that correctly, but these are the things you notice. And the lady never mentioned that her son was giving away any of his stuff. She mentioned the trench coat, but she never mentioned the journals and stuff. And if she did, I probably blacked out and fell asleep doing that. So for that, I missed it. But you notice some things that children do. And a lot of things, you see it right in front of you and you don't even realize it. And that's how these situations tend to manifest. Like I said, I never let my mom know how bad I was having it at school. And I wasn't having it too great at home. If you're getting bullied at school and you're not doing too fair at home, you kind of got nowhere to go. Because you go to school because it's your privilege as an American citizen. Your education is free until it's time to go to college. It's like state mandate, depending on what state you're in. I know in Virginia, your ass is going to school until you're old enough to either become an emancipated minor or old enough to just say fuck it and drop the fuck out, which means you got to be somewhere between 15 and 18. Other than that, you're going to fuck school. Unless you're so poor that you can't go to school and you're living way out in the sticks and there's just no means for you to get to school. However, there is a circular law against that too, because you can be homeschooled and still get the SATs and stuff sent to you, and as long as you got a certain grade point average, you can graduate from home. I learned that while I was in college trying to date a girl who I thought was 18 and wound up only being 16. I had to back the hell away real quick because I was like, how are you 16 in college? Oh, I was homeschooled. Hey, you learn something new every day. And when you think you've seen it all, you haven't. There's still more to come. So after learning about being homeschooled and learning the rules and everything, you kind of pick up. So back on track with the Columbine thing. We as people, we have to do better. We have to do better. For us to obtain a utopia, then we first got to get rid of all the BS. Violence is cool if it's staged violence. If you're making a movie, if you're playing a video game, Now, I know the first thing you guys are saying, because they did touch on that tonight, they did touch on violent video games. And unfortunately, they said that the Japanese people buy more violent video games but have a lesser death toll. Because in Japan, it's very difficult to get guns. Well, there's a legal reason for that. It was called the World War II and the exploding of Pearl Harbor and they being demilitarized. So basically, whatever happens to Japan, our ass is to go in and help them. Period. Us and NATO. So clearing that up, you know, violent video games can never be blamed for someone's actions. Let's get that out the way right now. I play Mass Effect 3 and the whole damn saga religiously, and I shoot the holy fucking shit out of aliens. I play Resident Evil, and though there are zombies and there are monsters, and the game is slightly violent, and though you're killing monsters and basically you're shooting megapixels, you're not really hurting anyone. In real life, when you shoot someone, if you kill them, that's it. There's no restart, there's no do-over. I'm pretty sure that the kids in Columbine probably knew that. I'm pretty sure that the motherfucker in Blacksburg probably knew that. I'm pretty sure that anybody who's ever took a gun and shot at anyone pretty much knows that. But they've never looked back at the history and said they were violent video games. Because if I'm not mistaken, there were not that many violent military games out when Columbine happened. I know Doom was out, but that was on the PC. I'm pretty sure that they had like maybe Tomb Raider and Mario Brothers and X-Men. I think the Sega Genesis and stuff was out back then. But there weren't too many violent games. It was like race cars, Mario's Excite Bike. And anything violent, I would know because I never seen any commercials for them because those weren't the games I was into. And yes, I was into Tomb Raider. I played Lara Croft religiously. Alright? And I played Resident Evil. Once I got into Resident Evil, it was like the only game that I had that was violent was Resident Evil. But I'm killing already dead people. And either I was going to be Jill or Chris. Or I was going to be Leon or Claire. And then it went back to Jill for Nemesis. And then if you got number 4, you went back to Leon. So, you know, you can't blame video games for no one's actions. You can't. A video game does not have subliminal messages in there that tells you you're going to go to school tomorrow and shoot up your entire classroom. Because if that was the case, Pac-Man would have had everybody ass chopping people up and everybody would have been fucking cannibals. Okay? Because Pac-Man was the shit. He ate a whole bunch of yellow balls and then he ate the big yellow balls and then he ate ghosts. And if you want to go even further than that, and depending on how old you guys are, if you guys remember Cubert, this po bastard was on a damn pyramid of steps. He jumped down steps and shot them with big black balls of ink. So that was like what they would consider violent. And then there was Burger Time, where the chef would sprinkle salt on things and make the buns fall on top of them. You know, and then, oh yeah, let's not forget Donkey Kong. So you can't say that violent video games have them, because almost every video game, since video games have been in existence, has an element of violence in them. You might not see it as violent depending on the game or depending on your train of thought, but you can't hold video games responsible for someone's actions. Alright? I mean, Saffron Filter was a badass game. They need to make another one. Hint, hint. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to go out and be Gabe Logan or Ling Jing, whatever her name is, and start zapping me with a stun gun until they catch on fire. Or shooting them and hollering, where's my damn backup? Alright? You can't put video games responsible for anybody's actions. You can only hold the person that's pulling the trigger responsible for their actions. And I'm going to pause this, stop this, whatever, and start the 3rd video. Thank you very much for tuning in.